I got everything here, Mr. Slavinsky.
Yeah. That's...
Okay. I threw in, as you could see, a couple of free washers there because you seem like a nice guy. So
you gotta be kidding me! This is outrageous. What? You must be taking me for a patsy. What? You think I'm gonna pay that for an easy job? Gee, I could have done it myself if I had the tools.
Well, you should have. And you know what? If I was the King of England, I'd be living in a friggin' castle, okay?
Well, you know, I got a mind to report you to the Better Business Bureau, buddy.
Just get it.
Well, it isn't surprising that Rocky gets his fair share of customer complaints. Actually, he probably gets a lot more than his fair share. But you know what? It really doesn't matter whether you're a Rocky or a superstar. In the service industry, complaints are unavoidable. Now, understandably, we all like to get approval in our lives. We like it when somebody compliments us on our appearance or tells us they agree with our opinions. We even like people to tell us we made the right decision when we've made a purchase. And the same principle applies to our jobs. We like to get pats on the back from our supervisors, and we feel good when customers thank us for providing great customer service. So, it should come as no surprise that complaints can have the opposite effect, making us feel depressed and even lowering our self-esteem. We'd all really like to have 0 complaints. But no matter how great a service technician you are, how many years of training and experience you have, or how hard you try to satisfy your customers, or what company you work for, you're going to get complaints. It's a fact of life, and you have to learn to live with it. The key is not to take it personally, like it was a rejection or somehow reflected on your value as a professional. Get over it. Complaints aren't going to go away. And the busier you get, the more complaints you can expect. Why? Simple. The more business you do, the more calls you have to go on and the more people you have to interact with. Well, the more people you have to interact with, the greater the chance that some of them will complain, especially about the price.
Okay, Mrs. Rollins, I've completed my diagnostic of the problem and I've listed the repairs you need. And over here is the price for that type of job.
I see. Well, I have to say this seems awfully high for a simple procedure. You know, I don't understand why you have to charge so much.
People are naturally resistant when it comes to spending money on heating, plumbing, air conditioning, or electrical work. You see, nobody, myself included, likes to spend money on basic necessities. It just doesn't provide the same kind of satisfaction that you get when you purchase a luxury, something fun or exciting. I mean, come on, would you feel better about spending money on a new water heater than on a new set of golf clubs and maybe a hunting rifle? I don't think so. And you shouldn't expect your customers to feel much different. That's not to say that the products and services you provide aren't great. In fact, they're pretty much invaluable, since I don't know too many people who would want to do without them. But you have to admit, they aren't always glamorous.
Well, Mr. Panetti, looks like you're all set. You made a great choice on that new hot water heater. That old one is definitely not worth trying to save. Besides, you're going to be a lot happier with the increased output the larger capacity can provide, right?
Yeah, no, you're right, yeah.
Well, how come you don't look happy?
Well, I'm happy. It's just that I keep thinking that I could have put some of that money towards a jet ski that I really wanted. I mean, not that I don't want the water heater. I mean, I'm definitely glad to have it. It's a necessity and all, but it's just not something I can brag to my buddies about, you know?
Now, I also want to make very clear that just because you may receive complaints, it doesn't mean that your prices are too high. As you know, there's no guessing or greed involved in your company's pricing. Flat rate prices are calculated based on billable hours and total costs, with just a modest percentage allowed for profit and company growth. Sure, you can probably find other companies that charge less. That's due to one of two things. Either they haven't properly covered their cost and therefore aren't really making any money, or they've cut their costs. Cutting costs. That must be why their trucks look so ratty and unsafe. It probably also explains why their techs work 11-hour days for low pay and little or no benefits. Maybe the company even saved a little by eliminating ongoing training and professional-looking uniforms.
Rocky, what's this?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about this check. What is this? I worked over 60 hours last week. I mean, God, that's barely enough to buy, what, a case of beer? And what's going on with my health insurance? I call my doctor. I want to see my doctor. He tells me I've been canceled. What's up with that?
Sammy.
What?
Sammy. You calm down, all right? I know you're working hard. Truly appreciate that, but you know that the competition is killing us here, you know, so we're trying to cut a couple of costs here and there, you know what I mean?
And what does that have to do with my paycheck?
Well, how am I supposed to cut costs there, you know? I mean, without, if we're trying to cut costs, you're part of the plan there, all right? All right, so, hey, you want us out on the street? You want us out on the street?
No, but I don't understand. I mean, you cut my pay. You cut my insurance to lower the costs. You know what? This ain't right. This ain't right, Rocky.
I firmly believe that as time passes, there won't be much of a discrepancy between service company prices. After all, the trend in the industry is headed toward the C2000 way of doing business. Higher standards of customer service, increased professionalism, and pricing that accommodates a better standard of living for all employees. Eventually, service companies will be competing for business based on customer service, and customers will associate value with quality rather than price. But until that happens, your best recourse is to prepare yourself for the inevitable and learn how to educate your customers. Remember, in the service industry, the price is always too high until it's justified. That means that you have to justify the cost of the job by building value. How do you do that? First, don't take shortcuts in the selling process. Each step builds upon the next, so by the time you ask for the sale, you'll have earned it. Don't jump right to the demonstration. Break down customer resistance, schmooze a little, and begin to establish trust. The second way to build value in what you're selling, whether it's a product, a service, or both, is to make sure your invoices are detailed and complete. When you rush and record only a fraction of the work you've done, you change the customer's perception. The work seems easier, and so the value seems lower. Be thorough and review the elements of the job with your customers so they understand what you've written down. The more value you build, the fewer complaints you're likely to hear. Well, that's about all the time we have for our discussion this week. I hope I've helped you to realize that complaints are just a natural part of the business, not to be taken personally, and that you probably have fewer of them than you think. We really don't want any, so we tend to over-focus on the few we do have. Keep that in mind on your service calls this week, and I'll see you next time for a different presentation.